It was like 80% of people book the person that follows up the fastest.
Oh, wow. So yeah, you're not going to sit around and wait. You're going to be like, okay, who got back to me first? Let's go ahead and get this book. Hey, Photo BFFs, and welcome to another episode of the Edit Weekly. I'm Amanda from Seattle.
And I'm Whitney from Minneapolis.
And today we're chatting with Amy Pearson, who is a systems and workflow strategist who helps photographers and creatives get their businesses organized using tools like Dubsado and HoneyBook. Amy specializes in building custom workflows for things like contracts, invoices, and automated emails so that you can spend less time on admin and more time behind the camera. Amy is all about creating a smooth, professional client experience without the overwhelm. And today she's going to break down what a CRM actually is, why it matters, and how photographers can start using one the right way. So Amy, we are so excited to have you here today. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Amanda and Whitney. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to learn more about CRMs. And I feel like especially when you first start out, I feel like you never really know, do I need one? Do I not? How are they going to be helpful? And you're trying to figure out what you're going to allocate your money to when you first start your business. So I am especially excited to have all of our beginning photographers who are listening hear this from you. I definitely did not start out with a CRM. How about you, Whitney? Did you?
I didn't start with one, but we did end up getting one when we did our wedding business. However, I wish someone like you had been around because I spent way too much time trying to get it organized and figure it out. And I've used CRMs. I've used so many different ones for different like businesses, like not just photography. I used to work with somebody that would always like try new CRMs. And I was like, this is too much. I don't need to know every single CRM. So to have somebody to come in that could just do it and get it together would have been such a time saver. And also we will have released a podcast where I talk about my ADHD. And I think it's super, super helpful for somebody with ADHD to have a CRM. So I'm all that to say, I'm very excited to hear from you and what you can teach us and all that you can do to help people.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I feel your pain. I've switched a lot of tools. Since I'm a systems nerd, I like to get in there and puddle around with tools. And the thing is, every time you switch your system, it's like you go through this learning curve of learning where everything is and how to use it. And it's not just like you just put everything in there and turn it on and it just works. And so that it's a huge slowdown for people.
Yeah.
And so switching it out all the time is definitely not productive.
Exactly. No. And I feel like we are all about trying to be as productive as possible with the amount of time that we have. And especially as photographers, we don't make our money by spending time doing the administrative work. We make our money by actually booking the sessions and going out with clients. So to be able to have it set up and in place and ready to go definitely makes it so we can spend more of our time doing the thing that we love. Because I feel like most of us photographers didn't get into this so that we could do administrative work.
Absolutely not. I'm pretty sure none of us got into this to do admin work.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I do think that what the CRM can do for you is free up your mental capacity and like help support you if you are neurodivergent and have ADHD or other things, so that you always kind of know where your projects are at. And I like to think of it as sort of your business assistant who knows where everything goes and handles everything. They keep your business organized. They keep all the clients in one place and make sure that the contracts get signed and the payments get made and the follow-up emails get sent to remind people to do things and all those little things that you're like, did I do the thing? Did I send them their onboarding? Did I send them that guide to help them get ready for their branding session? I don't know where I'm at with this client. Let me go dig through like the sticky notes on my desk or the notes that I scribbled in my day planner.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I am so guilty of having pieces of paper like kind of strewn about where I'm like, oh, that's where I put that one note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you ever look at a note and you're like, what? I look at some of my notes, it'll be like XY -- do this tomorrow. I'm like, what? What is XY?
Yeah. I have had to force myself to write things like in my project management tool when it relates to a project. It's been a learning curve for me because I am a sticky noteaholic and I like to scribble things on sticky notes. Unfortunately, I got this clear desk blotter that's silicone and I thought it would be helpful, but my mouse doesn't track on the thing. So then I had to put a piece of paper on the silicone. So guess what happens? Scribble little notes on this piece of paper.
Yeah.
My sticky note has grown, and now I have an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with scribbles all over it.
Oh, there we go.
At the end of the week, I'm like, what was I even thinking there? Like, what does that even mean?
Okay, so my first real question, and I think a lot of people's first questions really are like, what exactly is a CRM? So can you explain in simple terms what they are and why they're helpful for photographers?
Yeah. So I think of a CRM like a personal assistant. And generally, what you're doing when you're setting up your CRM is giving your personal assistant their to-do list or their marching orders for how to manage each type of client that you have. But it also acts as like your day planner because it keeps your schedule for you. Like all of your client appointments are in there, as well as like digital signatures. So you don't have to send your clients a PDF and have them print it out and sign it and send it back to you,
Mm.
or connect a bunch of different tools together to do all those things. It lets you accept payments. So it kind of acts as your bill, or not bill collector, but your I can't think of the name of it. Person that reminds people to pay the bills.
Yeah.
I think
I know.
bill
I'm trying to-
collector.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
or like the
bill
billing
collector.
department or like
Billing
right.
department. Yeah. I mean,
Billing
I've even had
department.
clients that have signed those emails with a different name.
Oh,
I know CRM can be really intimidating. It stands for client relationship management. But if you just think of it as it's kind of like your all-in-one place where your client stuff lives.
yeah.
And it's sort of your personal assistant that runs your business and manages your bookings and collects bills and things like that.
That's awesome. And to have it all in one spot, because I think about
Yeah.
how trying to piecemeal things together and figuring out, okay, did I
Mhm.
put this note about the client in my phone under the contacts, or was that something that I put in a different spot? So to be able to have one central location for all those things, I can definitely see how that
Yeah.
would
So
be
it's not
very
like in the
helpful.
notes app on your phone or on a piece of paper on
Mm.
your desk or in your day planner or in your calendar, or is it in a Google Drive folder or
Mm-hmm.
So many
And
places to put things.
yeah, and your client um can go in and see where they're at, like with their when their bills, like when their payments coming up, having that all and together. Am I right?
Mhm.
Most of them have
Yeah.
all that. Like they have the client side, so it actually makes it easier for them.
Yeah, they have a client portal. They can go in there and see their contract that they signed or their invoice and what payments have been made, when the payments are
Mm.
due. Any other forms that you've shared with them are in the client portal too. So they can go in, for instance, and complete their wedding planning questionnaire as they're making decisions about their wedding, for
Mm.
instance, and update that as they go along. So it's all there in one place. They don't have to go back to their emails and dig through their inbox and find that one email that
Yeah.
you sent them with their planning guide for their session. It's right there in their client portal. So you can have a link on your website and they can just hop in there real quick and find those things for themselves, so they don't have to wait for you to send it back to them and be like, "Hey,
Mhm.
I can't find that email. Can you send it back to me?" And instead they can just go in the client portal and find it
Yeah,
themselves.
that's so helpful. That's the kind of stuff I need because I am always losing emails.
And I feel like
Yeah,
we
I
all
mean,
get
Google Mail
bogged
is
down with
world
so
class for
many.
that with the stacking
Yes.
emails thing.
Oh
It
my
makes me
gosh,
nuts.
yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So many emails. Okay, so Amy, can you walk us through how platforms like HoneyBook and Dubsado specifically support photographers? Like what makes them different from using just email and spreadsheets?
Yeah, my favorite thing, and what I hear from a lot of the photographers that I work with, is the scheduling. I call it scheduler ping pong. So it eliminates scheduler ping pong with emailing back and forth to try to book an appointment. You can set your availability in there and say what days and times you want to be available for certain types of appointments. You can send someone your booking link and they can go and book an appointment, get a confirmation email sent to them. Hopefully reminder emails if you set them up in your scheduler, which I definitely would do. And the best part is with those things, you can also include information in there to help them prepare for those appointments. So I really like that aspect of if thinking through how you can deliver the best amount of information to help someone be ready for whatever the appointment is, whether it's a discovery call or a session. So I think the booking piece of it is one of the biggest things that I see photographers really, really like. But also just the automated follow-ups for leads. Lead management, especially during busy season when you're out there doing photo sessions or editing photos or doing all the things, like the last thing you get to sometimes is the inbox and following up with leads. And I forget the statistic that I found. I want to say it was like 80% of people book the person that follows up the fastest.
Oh, wow. I guess I'm
Yeah.
not surprised either, especially certain times of year too, where you're just, as a parent trying to get the family session on the calendar and get it booked. So yeah, you're not going to sit around and wait for somebody to get back to you. You're going to be like, okay, who got back to me first? Let's go ahead and get this booked and do it.
Yeah. And a lot of people are filling out multiple lead capture forms. And so the person that gets back the fastest. So if you have an automated follow-up email, you're going to be the fastest person following up. And especially if you put in there like your pricing guide or whatever the next step is. So that person fills out the lead capture form, they get some more information. Maybe your portfolio link is in there. They continue going down the rabbit hole with you. And so they already feel sort of committed to working with you, even if they haven't completely booked yet. And so, like, you've already followed up, you're building the relationship, and they're more invested in working with you and not going to be wondering when that other person's going to get back to them because you've already followed up.
I'm listening to this and thinking about people that are they're just starting out and they're concerned about the cost of a CRM. Because that's always when you're starting, you're thinking about, okay, is this worth it? And it's very easy as photographers to want to spend our money on better gear or
the fun stuff.
all the fun stuff on paying someone for a logo design. But just the fact that if you have a CRM, but you're working like another full-time job and you do this on the side, to have that set up and how much more likely you will be to actually book that shoot. I mean, you could book like one shoot and pay for it for a few months at least, just by having that set up, at least. Yes. So
and
I
it
think
makes you look more professional too. Just like having, even if it's not a professionally designed logo, if you just have your name on the top of the contract and proposal, like it looks much more professional than if you're like, okay, here's my branding guide, and then I'll send you an invoice and another email from another platform, and I'm going to send you DocuSign for a contract, and they have to click into all those different things to finish booking with you. Instead of if you had HoneyBook or Dubsado, all of those can be combined in one document. So they complete the proposal, choose any add-ons. It all gets dumped into the invoice for you by your CRM, and it also can be auto-populated into the contract. So the contract already has the client information in it. So they finish the proposal. The next thing they see is the contract.
Wow.
They read the contract, they sign it. The next thing they see is the invoice. They pay the invoice. You get booked in like 5 minutes.
Wow. That is so much better than, like you said, the ping pong of back and forth emails.
Yeah. And having to go into a bunch of different platforms. You want to eliminate that friction for booking.
Yeah.
And so, like, it also can help you book more clients.
Wow.
Because
absolutely,
they're not having to go look around in their email and weed through the emails from the school and
oh my gosh, yes. So many
And why-
emails from schools.
Yes. Oh.
I
And I
Go ahead.
am I'm just gonna like admit something that's embarrassing.
Okay.
Oh,
Do it. What's
so-
up, Whitney?
now you have to tell us.
You know.
I do. But so when I was doing weddings, and then I finally I moved to Minnesota from Nashville. I was like, I'm not booking anything. And as a photographer, I still would start to get booking, just kind of, it's like, oh, you take photos. I see your photos. I still had some up. I want to book you. I had already quit my CRM because I thought I was done. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start booking some stuff. Did not use the CRM. It became a lot of ping pong. And I have probably lost, I know it's been at least $500 where I just never sent anyone the payment link.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Yeah, and they're just waiting for you to go send them payment links so they can pay
And
you.
then they do. And I found one
And then
time
you're
I didn't even
embarrassed.
realize this. I found a check that I hadn't cashed for a year. And I was like, I'm not writing them and be like, I'm so for this. So, I mean, it's really embarrassing. And I can laugh about it because, again, we're
I have been
having
there.
this
I mean,
whole
I haven't
ADHD
had the check
thing, but
that's been hanging out, but I've had some other things.
y'all, it's so embarrassing. So do not, especially if you're listening to this, or maybe you've joined us after hearing we're talking about more ADHD stuff, get a CRM, even if it's not for that many shoots, because I could have just been kept on my CRM the whole time and not dealt with this. So
yeah. And
there you go.
And you don't have to set up all the bells and whistles and use all the features.
Yeah.
I think there are a few that I would definitely recommend. And the booking piece of it, the proposal, contract, invoice, for sure.
Yes.
As well as the
Get
payment
paid.
reminders, payment plans. Because
Oh my gosh, yes. All the payment reminders. This is a perfect segue into my next question for you, Amy, which is letting our audience know that you build custom workflows for creatives. So can you share what goes into setting up a smooth process? Like automated emails, proposals? I'm curious how that part of it works.
The whole thing. So really the thing that I think is the most important is mapping out your plan for the service, each service that you're working on in your CRM. And you kind of have to start from the very beginning of okay, how are they coming into your world? How do they say, yes, hey, over here, I'd like to work with you? Do they fill out a lead capture form? Do they send you an email? Do they, do they book it right from your website? Do they book book a discovery call? What is the thing you want them to do first? And then, okay, well, then what happens? Well, if they fill out a lead capture form, I'm going to send them a fast follow-up email. Okay. And then making sure that anything else that happens, you have a kind of a way to push them into filling out that form politely. Hey, I'd love to work with you and send you an email. Okay, great. I would love to hear more about your branding, your ideas for your branding photos. Could you take a second and fill out this form for me? Okay. So we map that all out from, okay, now we've sent that fast follow-up email. What happens next? Do you invite them to book a call to hear more about their wedding? Let's talk about wedding photography just so I can pick one thing.
Yes, definitely. I know there's so many genres and different places you can go.
So
I
many
think that's
different types of photography we can
Oh my
use
gosh,
this
so
for.
much.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Building
let's
photography.
Oh my gosh, all this stuff. You definitely work on weddings because I feel like a lot of beginning photographers, that's kind of where they start out is weddings. I feel like a lot of people we've talked to, they're at that age where their friends are getting married and their friends know they have the camera. And so they kind of just get into it that way. So I feel like wedding photography is a really good avenue to concentrate on for this.
Absolutely. So then maybe you're sending them the pricing guide with kind of your packages and what's in them and for them to review. And if you're interested in moving forward, book a consultation with me, free consultation. So then, okay, they're going to book the consultation. You want to make sure they get reminder email. After the consultation, you're going to send them the proposal. Maybe you want to make sure there's a couple follow-ups because in case they don't book right away, so they don't just get lost in the weeds. Because I have found people sometimes just miss the email or it ends up in junk mail or spam or whatever. Some follow-ups. Okay. And then how are you going to onboard them? What are you going to need to get from them to onboard your wedding client? So probably a questionnaire to get some more information. And then what happens after they're onboarded? And that is, especially with weddings, there's such a long amount of time from when they book to when the wedding actually happens.
Yes.
That is gold for going in and putting in touch points to help your client plan for their wedding day or prepare for their wedding day. What are what are questions you're typically getting if you've had a few wedding clients and you know, they ask me about what is that? First look. Like,
Yes.
I get a lot of questions about first look or wedding hair and makeup trial. I don't know why wedding hair and makeup trials, but like,
I feel like once wedding clients do find their photographer, they do kind of tap their photographer for info. At least that's what I found. It was, do you know a good florist? Or, hey, this is the venue. Can you think of somebody that would be good to have for the caterer? And so I feel like as a lot of couples choose the photographer, I think first, it seems, at least in my experience, and then they would tap me for info on other vendors.
Yeah, and a lot of photographers that I've worked with have an email that goes and says like, here's my preferred vendor list.
Yes.
Planners also like to use that one. Or here's a checklist to help you plan for the wedding day. I'm having that timeline set or that checklist with things to plan and when to plan them, day of the wedding bag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like coaching them on the timeline the day of so that they understand like, hey, you're going to want to do these pictures at this time and some stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you can think through and do in that part between when they book and when the session happens, when the wedding happens, that really make it high touch, but it's automated so you're not doing it.
So this would be something then where you would like come on, maybe you go into your CRM and say, okay, if a wedding client emails, and then you write an email that goes out and put that in the CRM, or you'll upload forms into the CRM and then it gets triggered somehow. I mean, is that
so after we get done mapping all of this out, I kind of went down a big rabbit hole, but after we get done mapping all this out and we also look at offboarding and how can you continue the relationship because you want to continue working with your clients. And most photographers do more than just weddings. They do other things. So you can help keep the continuing relationship going, right? With that. And we go through each of those steps and map it all out. And then the next part of that is putting together the list of everything you need to build that. So all the schedulers and the forms and the emails that need to get written, which there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's like 30 to 50 or more that I usually write, especially for weddings. So, creating all the pieces that have to go into building that, like your forms, your contracts, your payment plan, your packages, any upsells or not upsells, add-ons or things like that. All of the things that you need to create come from that plan. And once you have everything created, then you put it all together in workflows or automations. And I like to think of those. People get worried about workflows. They get scared about them. But I like to think of them as they're just instructions for your assistant who happens to be a CRM and not a person. And so basically you're writing instructions. You're saying, okay, after the workflow starts, I want you to send this email. And then you're going to send me a to-do X, Y, and Z. So you're going to send me a to-do to review their form so I can say, yes, I'm available or no, I'm not for the wedding date.
That's great too. So then it gets you in there too. So you can decide too, like, I don't know, let's just say you get that inquiry and it turns out, I'm actually not available that day, or I'm not really loving how they filled out that questionnaire. I don't think we'd be a good fit. So maybe passing on it. So that's nice to be able to get the ownership to review all of that and not just have it work through its flow and you're like, no, I don't actually want to
Yeah.
maybe book this client.
That gives you that chance to say yes or no.
Yeah.
And also customize the email that follows if you wanted to do that. So that
that's nice too.
It's
Okay.
one of my favorite things to do, but especially with weddings, you definitely want to check to make sure you're available or not. And then
Yes.
what we always do is create a not a good fit workflow that's kind of sends an email that says, hey, I don't think, maybe you have to customize it, but I don't think I'm a good fit or I'm not available or whatever you want it to say.
Yeah.
Here are some other photographers in the area who I think would be a better fit or might be available for your date.
And I love this because they do take time to set up. So it's not like you just sign up for a CRM. Okay, I'm good. Everything's easy. You've got to put in, this extra work. If they're working with you, it's less work, but it's still work because it's like your business. But at the same time, you're able to think through things without being as emotional for this whole, it's not a good fit. And I think we've talked about this before, how sometimes saying, kind of knowing what you're going to respond beforehand or having something pre-written, this is how I respond to things, it takes that emotion. Because a lot of times if something happens and you get angry, I know I'm like this, I get angry and I never send out my first email. But it'd be just, so great to have that. Oh, this isn't a fit. I don't have to explain why. I've already I've already thought through this and have it together. And it just takes a lot of that kind of heartache almost.
Yeah.
Because it is like
it's emotionally draining.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And getting that
and you
done.
feel bad. You're like saying
Yeah.
no to somebody, and it's like the kid being picked last at dodgeball.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we all have a heart for that
yes.
person, but at the same time, we don't want us to have to suffer when we already know to have all that planned out ahead of time and just automated, and it's written when you're in a state of mind that's different than when you immediately get an email. I feel like, setting that time apart, like you were saying, Whitney, is just nice to be neutral when you're writing these emails and have them set to go.
Yes.
And
you mentioned
100%.
contracts. So I know some of the CRMs have contracts that come with them, and we did a whole podcast with Rachel Brinke from Law Tog. So it's something that you can either kind of use what they have or you can do your own. How do you walk people through that?
I don't touch contracts. So I have
Totally
resources
fair.
for contracts. I send people to, the legal page, or I'm going to write the one down that you just mentioned.
Rachel Brinke is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't touch contracts. I try to avoid editing them as much as possible, except for putting in smart fields to put in information.
Okay.
And help people. Because a lot of people don't understand about the smart fields and how they can use them to fill those contracts in, and they're still copying, pasting things into contracts. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. Look.
That makes sense. And so, I mean, I know that Rachel has talked about that when she was on the podcast, that she has contracts available to purchase. So it sounds like, you could take that contract that you get from a lawyer and actually put that into your CRM and be able
please
to
get a legal contract.
Yes.
Don't just write
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of those, and I went back to the photographer and I said, this is missing a lot of really important clauses that I know come in these contracts.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to write this for you, but I'm telling you, you're missing a bunch of stuff. And you're probably experiencing a lot of frustration with your clients because you don't have these things in here to cover your backside and protect you. Or at least make sure that you've got a clause in there for mileage or
whatever it may
meal
be.
clauses or whatever the things are. But please get a real contract written for a photographer.
So important.
And do the CRM, am I wrong that I feel like I heard some CRMs have contracts available? Is that correct? Okay.
HoneyBook does. I know I've seen the contract templates in HoneyBook that you can get and use. I'm assuming that someone who knows what they were doing wrote those and they're written by a lawyer. I have not read them because it's very boring. And I haven't seen anyone actually use them. Usually people just send me a contract that they're using.
Yeah.
But definitely get a contract written by a lawyer.
Yes.
Or one of those templates which is much less expensive than hiring a lawyer.
Definitely. I have a question. We had talked
Sure.
about the fact that a lot of photographers have different types of photography they do. So maybe they photograph weddings, but they also photograph like newborns. So in the CRMs, is there a way to customize each one so that it's not like, okay, I have to make this really generic so that it fits weddings, but then it also fits newborns. So can it be really
Yeah,
specific?
usually if I'm writing it, we do separate workflows for each of those
Awesome.
types of services. So
Okay.
we can really customize it and talk about your beautiful new baby or wedding or whatever, but make the language specific or for weddings, a lot of times people will refer to the couple by first names. And I would definitely customize the workflow. Like you can do different automations and forms and everything for each type of service. And I would definitely do that for those services because it just feels more customized. It resonates more. It's going to connect more with that client who's looking to book that type of service versus like book your shoot.
Just real generic language.
Like,
Yes.
and that other thing is that is key with like what I do and what other system strategists do is it's not just knowing like what button to click or what thing to do here. We understand how the system works, of course, but we know how to customize it to fit what you want to do in your business. And then the other thing is the client experience piece of it and understanding how to write things so that people know what to do or you're guiding them through your process and you are making them feel cared for and appreciated.
That's so wonderful because I feel like that is what people are looking for with a photographer is that relationship, not just somebody holding a camera, clicking the button. Is you want to connect with that person. So to be able to have these customized fields and make it sound more personal as if you were emailing them right from the heart right there and not having it, oh, this is a very obvious workflow that's come through that AI wrote. And yeah, to be able to have just that customization on so many levels. I think that I know for a long time, that's what kept me from doing anything is because I thought I need to be so personal because somebody will totally sniff out if it's really generic. So that's so good to know that for those of us photographers who do a few different genres of photography, we could gear it really specifically towards that type of photography and to be able to have, like you said, the smart fields where, it's not just hello person number one and your partner person number two, but to have names go in there too. That's so fantastic.
Yeah, and you can also like put in emojis or
that's awesome.
Is it GIFs or GIFs? I never am sure
know.
about that.
I always say GIFs, but somebody told me it was, or I always say GIFs, but somebody told me that the creator said it was GIF, but all I can think of is the peanut butter, so I never say it.
Remember either.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, if you are the kind of person that sends GIFs or in your emails, then put them in your canned emails.
I think that's so great.
Put emojis in there. If you're an emoji person, put the emojis in there.
Yeah. All of the above.
If you are like a social media manager that I follow and you talk about wrestling, you put wrestling in your canned emails.
Like, yes.
Make it sound like you. It shouldn't sound like a robot. And then that's 99.9% of the way there. And then if you really want to have customization in there and be able to pop a couple sentences in there, you can customize it a little bit or just put both HoneyBook and Dubsado have the ability to pause the workflow and wait for you to customize it. But it'll at least have the draft and have the bones of the things that you want to cover. So you don't have to worry about making sure that you say X, Y, and Z in this email. That's already there for you and it's already written and it was done when you were thinking about it and having a really good day on being focused and writing.
Yeah.
And not trying to do it in between picking kids up at soccer and the carpool lane and everything else you got going on.
And do some people, I almost feel like this is what I would do. Do they ever say like, hey, thanks for contacting us. Here's the information. Like somehow let them know that it is an automated email and they can get back to them personally. Just,
Yeah, I mean,
'cause I know I like that sometimes to know, okay, I know this is automated, but
I have, and that's what I usually put in my fast follow-up email. I don't always say like, "Hey, this is an automated email," but if it comes
yeah,
back that fast, everybody knows.
Yes.
yes,
But like, "Hey, I'm
Yes.
checking my calendar to see if I'm available for your wedding date. I'll
yeah,
be back in touch with you to confirm in 1 or 2 days, business
yeah, okay,
days." And then I usually put a to-do in the automation to poke the person and say like, "Hey, review this and get back to them."
yeah,
So
okay,
so that you don't like not break your trust on the very first thing you're doing with them.
Yes.
That's what I would do. I have done ones before where it's like, "Hey, this is an automated email. I'm going to be back in touch with you in 1 to 2 business days. In the
yeah,
meantime, like watch this video about, how I work or
Mhm.
whatever." It
Yeah.
yeah,
depends on the thing, but
yeah,
like,
Exactly. I like that. And like, yeah, like you're saying, Whitney, because obviously if an email gets returned right away and somebody's like, well,
yeah,
that definitely wasn't a personal response. Sometimes
yeah,
it can be nice to know, like, okay, that's automated, but sweet. There's a message in there and they say they will get back to me for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
and sometimes I also put delays on them so that it
Oh,
doesn't go
I
back
didn't even know you
like
could
as
do that.
soon as
That's
they.
cool.
That
Yeah,
is,
you can time it so
yeah,
you can set it to go like 6 minutes later or something, and then it'll, they sign the contract 6 minutes later, you're sending them the next step, or 10, 15 minutes later, or
Oh,
whatever.
that's, yeah. Add in like the human buffer
Yeah.
because,
I
I also put that in sometimes
yeah.
because I'm like, okay, send this 5 minutes after I mark the to do complete in case I like mark it and then go, oh crap, I
Oh,
forgot.
yes. I think we've all been guilty of pressing send before we actually meant to a handful of times.
Yeah.
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 It's the Instagram messages like have brought that.
Oh.
I think before
Mm.
I wouldn't have thought. I'd been like, oh, they're so fast. But now it's like, leave this comment and then bam, you get, a message.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah.
pretending that it's
Mm.
not automated, then I'm like,
Oh, I'm
come
not
on.
pretending.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
say leave a comment and
Yeah.
I'll send you the link, it is ManyChat.
Yes.
Because otherwise you have to wait for me to go back into Instagram,
Oh my God.
Oh,
see your
yeah.
comment, and send you the
Yes.
link.
And actually do all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So for photographers listening who are ready to get more organized, what are your 3 action items that they could take like this week to start their CRM journey?
Well, I think the very first one is go take a trial and poke around in, whichever tool you think you'd like to use, and just try it out and see what you think of the user experience, because the biggest thing is, do you like being in the back side of the software?
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
you go in there and you hate it, you're not going to want to go in there and use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, go in there and maybe watch usually both, I think both of them have here's how, like kind of a tour,
Oh,
or
okay.
take
Yeah.
the
Okay.
tour and kind of get the feel of it and see what you think of it. Maybe just play around and see how it feels to you.
Yeah.
And then I would definitely try setting up a lead capture form and writing your email, even if you don't feel like, okay, automation scares me, I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
But writing the canned email and putting it in the CRM and making a lead capture form, even if it's very, very basic, so that when someone lands on your website or goes to your social media and clicks the link and fills out the form,
Mm-hmm.
you can follow up with them with the email,
Mhm.
even if you don't want to do the automation. I will
Okay.
say the automation for this is super duper simple. It's like literally add a step that says send email, pick
Mhm.
the email, and then go into the form and say, use this workflow.
Okay.
That is like super simple.
Uh-huh.
Like you don't have to do a whole lot of things after that. But if you just do that one thing, then you can get in and start seeing how people fill out the form, and their information is in there and you can see it all in one place and look,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the contract and there's the form. And I mean, later on when you add those things in there,
Mm-hmm.
they would be
Yes.
there. I would just say start with those couple of things,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can build from there, and just getting those leads in one place. You're not sorting through your emails looking for them. If I got to force one, I would say like write down your client experience.
Hmm.
That
Like
makes
take
sense.
some
So that,
stickies and
yeah.
write steps and stick them on the wall and like rearrange them. Don't write on the wall though. I mean, don't write on those sticky on the wall with the Sharpie you end up
Yes.
with.
Those things,
You're
yes.
going to have to repaint your wall.
But that makes sense
Good
so that
tip.
you can get a feel for what you do. Because I feel like so many of us, you just kind of do it, but to be able to sit down and maybe you're doing it in a way that you actually don't like doing too. So you can think about what is the way I want to be presenting myself to clients?
Yeah.
What do I wish my workflow actually looked like? Because right now it's chaotic and I don't like that.
I mean, even
Yeah.
if you just write it down in a Google document and you follow the steps when you're working with clients yourself, it's going to feel so much better because you won't have to rethink about like, well, what happens next? You can just go to the Google Doc and go, okay, I send them this email. And I literally had a client, they were six figures, more than one client who was making six figures that was running their businesses with Google spreadsheets and like copying and pasting emails over from a Google spreadsheet.
It can be done, but it doesn't mean that it's maybe the most
Yeah,
efficient
just
way to
because
do
you can
things.
doesn't mean it's
Exactly.
the great. Please don't.
Efficiency is your friend.
Every time I hear that, I'm just like, oh, you poor thing. Let me help
so
you.
Hard.
We have the tools to be efficient now. How great. We don't have to like mail letters in the mail or, ship contracts. I mean, that's basically when I started. This was over 20 years ago. I worked for a photographer. And that's the kind of stuff. Everything was like address. You'd have to ship the film to be developed. You wanted to order prints. You fill out an order form and stick it in the mail. We've got this efficiency. Use it,
Exactly.
You don't have to copy and paste.
I've got a really random question real quick.
Okay.
One thing I was thinking about, I know a lot of times as photographers, we want to find like one thing that fits them all. Are there any CRMs out there that you know of that also offer the proofing galleries for their clients too? Or does it mostly just kind of stick with the admin part of things? And then you link to a proofing gallery through a different vendor?
That is a good question. I am not sure that I've seen one that has the proofing gallery.
Okay, so
in it.
Dubsado and HoneyBook don't then.
No, but they do have, well, Dubsado doesn't have an integration anymore. They did. HoneyBook does have an integration. I want to say it's
Okay.
Pixie Set.
Pixie Set, probably. I feel like
Okay.
Pixie Set and Shoot Proof are kind of the big two.
But
that's
then
okay.
the nice thing is with smart fields, and both of them have smart fields, and the galleries are usually shareable. Most of them, anyway, that I've seen are shareable with a link.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can put the link in a smart field, and then that lives in their project. And then you can put that smart field in the email and say, here's your gallery link. So then when that email is sent to them, their custom gallery link is in there. And
Cool.
so
I was
that's
just wondering about that
the
part.
workaround. Or you can also put it in a form. And then
Okay.
that form would live in the client portal. So you're not limited to the
Yeah.
tools that there are.
I feel like some CRM needs to like capitalize on that for those of us who are like, I want one place that I can do
Where
all of my stuff.
everything-
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. That's good to know.
I feel like whenever there is a one place where you do all the things, like
That's
there's
true.
always something
There's always
that's
something
not.
that maybe goes wrong.
Like Dubsado has task management in it, but would I give up Meister Task? No.
Okay.
Or ClickUp, because I did have ClickUp before, but I found myself over engineering because I
Yes.
have a problem.
It's too much to choose from. So HoneyBook and Dubsado are your two like top recommendations. Do you have any others?
Well, other ones that are very popular, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. The two that I work in are HoneyBook and Dubsado because it's just so overwhelming to keep up with all the changes and tech and what's going on. And so I decided that that's it. Those are the two CRMs.
Well,
Yeah,
and
But
it
there
sounds
are
like
other ones too.
Yeah, I know that like Erin, who used to co-host with us, she was a big fan of Dubsado. And I know at least 5 photographers off the top of my head that use HoneyBook and have used it for a while. So I feel like those, at least in the photography world, those are kind of the 2 big main players that I hear at least most of the time from photographers I talk to.
Which means they're solid and they're reliable. And so I would suggest, like, instead of being like me, who likes to review, research every single one, just pick one of these 2 to try them out. Just take a test, try them out. You can start there, unless you hate them both and you're like, what are they what are these women talking about?
Yes, figure out what you really want to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so Amy, how can our listeners find you if they want to work with you to create their own workflows in Dubsado or HoneyBook?
Absolutely. Yeah, they can find me on my website at Amy S. Gould. That's GOULD.com. That's my maiden name. Well, before I got remarried. And I'm also on Instagram at Amy S. Pearson _ and on YouTube as well. So I have some tutorials on doing things and then also talking about client experience and how to create a really awesome client experience. So not everything is tutorials. It's also talking about like, hey, like here's how to improve your client experience this way.
Yeah, that's super
helpful. I just recorded
Mm-hmm.
a video about planning for the holidays.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
We will
it was
link
on the
to
top
all
of my mind.
these. Yeah, that'll be good. We'll link to all of these in our show notes and in the newsletter. That way people can check them out and see those. Because I feel like, especially with the holidays, literally right there. So nice to be able to have something.
I was just helping somebody test their system and was booking appointments as the client. And I was like, by the way, blackout Thanksgiving because I just booked you for a discovery call for Thanksgiving.
Oopsies.
Go in and put a block on that day so your calendar doesn't schedule you.
I have been guilty of that before too, where I have not consulted the holiday calendar. I've just consulted the like personal life calendar and I've realized, oh no, I'm definitely not available on this one, random holiday that the kids are out of school. There's no way I can do something. The kids will be home. So
yeah. I have also done that. And I forget the other day, there was something just this morning that I opened up the calendar and went, I didn't block that.
Oh, whoopsies.
And because I'm going to Wedding MBA and I did not block the travel days on my calendar.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Thankfully, no one has booked anything then.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Amy, for coming on today and explaining more about CRMs and why they're helpful. And all you listeners and people that are watching right now, too, I hope that you have found this interesting and will go in and try out HoneyBook and Dubsado and just play around in there. If you need any help, Amy is the person to contact. She can get you all set up so that you don't have to do all of the pain points of trying to figure out what to do next and where to connect the dots. So Amy has you covered for all of that. So thank you all again. If you have found this episode helpful, please feel free to share with your other photographer friends. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next week on another episode of the Edit Weekly. Bye.
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 Okay, Photo BFFs, if you have not subscribed, do that right now so you never miss a new episode. You can also find us at theeditweekly.com where we have free resources and downloads for you to help grow your photo business.